Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. This show is brought to you by an organization called Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. This is an organization that is from the Riverside area. We started here about 15 years ago, and we serve as the training and outreach coordinator for the Riverside County Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force. That is an organization that is led by the Riverside County Sheriff Department. But frankly, we're a national organization. We've been going across the United States for many years now, training law enforcement and code enforcement and teachers and social workers and licensed therapists and all kinds of people. And we train about social media exploitation and human trafficking. And we've been doing that for a long time. We train students and we train adults. And it's an interesting job, quite frankly. I never thought I'd find myself in this crazy place. Every day I get up and put one foot in front of the other. When one friend of mine was reading my resume and they go, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, beats the heck out of me. I just keep showing up and they let me talk. So there you go. But I want to just share with you several personal things that have happened over the last week or two. For one, several of you have reached out to me by email saying, I care deeply about the work that you do. How can we help you? How can we support you? And like that. What amazing audience we have in this program. People that actually care. One of the things that we did over the last month was run a foster care bedding program. It actually was run by someone at my church that I go to here in Riverside. I'll give them a shout out. Now, there are many, many good churches in Riverside, but I happen to go to Emmanuel Lutheran Church over there on Central. And just really, really enjoy them. What an amazing group of men and women and so much talent. But they have an in with the foster care programs. And of course, I do too, because of the trainings that we give. A lot of the work we do will go out to group home staffs. Now, there's legally not group homes anymore, but quite frankly, they just renamed them. But I will often and have even the last week or two gone out and train the staffs for people that work with foster kids. And this particular church did a program where they wanted bedding for foster kids. I got to thinking about foster kids. I was very, very lucky in my life. I had two parents who cared deeply about me and a family that surrounded me. And so I really came to realize in my older years that I really can't appreciate what it's like to be a foster child. And, I just think it's so important that we all stop and realize the wealth of our lives. If we've had a life with someone that is there for us, that serves as family, that takes us in, that supports us when we're looking ugly to everybody else, okay? And it happens to all of us. And so anyway, we had a lot of fun. Several people at Million Kids, and some of them were you, the listeners to this, donated. We did it for $50 a piece. They were actually coming to about $70, but I was using coupons everywhere I could to save 20% off here and there. But we would buy bedding, things like a twin bed, comforter, and some matching sheets, and then a decorator item. And then Million Kids threw in one of our wonderful challenge coins of "I believe in you." What a riot we had. We got Spider-Man stuff, and then we had a couple of them with bunnies on them, cute little bunnies with pink and like that. And we had some older kids stuff too, that for those kids that are getting ready to leave the foster program and go into adulthood. And I think that if you want to know what you can do to keep a kid out of things like trafficking and gangs and like that, even if you don't want to adopt a foster child, most of us don't because of where we're at in our life, make a contribution. if you go to a church that has foster kids or foster parents, take them in under your arm and kind of adopt them. Let them know that they're special and that they are included in your youth groups and they're included in the things you do. If they're getting ready to transition, then let's help them decorate an apartment. And that some of our betting that we did was exactly for that, transitioning youth, for that we got them a comforter and in some cases, some towels and things like that. I always say, let's give them something to lose. When I first started on this project, which was probably about 8 years ago, I was saying, if you have a foster child in your church or your youth group somewhere along the line, help them decorate their apartment. I used to say, get them a Elvis on velvet, but nobody knows what I'm talking about but me. Maybe that was a Midwestern thing, but remember when they had Elvis on velvet? I think that went out with a boombox. Nobody knows what a boombox is anymore either, for what that's worth. I was talking to somebody the other day what a pager was, and I was trying to explain it to a kid, and they're like, a pager, it just beeps, that's all, it just beeps. I mean, yeah, well, it beeps, so you could go to a payphone and call somebody. But we would do these programs and still do for foster kids. And if you're interested in doing that, for what it's worth, you can donate $50 to millionkids.org and just mark that with the foster kid betting program. But the other thing you can do outside of Million Kids is, if you know a foster kid that's graduating, make it special for them. It has been so difficult. The odds of a foster kid graduating are almost zero because they don't have the structure of a parent driving them around and encourage them on baking cookies and making sure that they get their homework in and all of that. They've done it on their own. And I just think that that is one of the greatest gifts that you can give another person, is to let them know that they are special and that you're there for them. Even if they didn't get lucky enough to be born with all that structure, that family structure around you, it is really, really important to know to do that. I also think that's a great lesson for our young people, for them to participate in it, to have empathy for someone that maybe has less than they do. And I really think that in this day and age, I was thinking about that as I was getting ready for the show, about the need for all of us, our young people and ourselves, to realize the value that there is something bigger than ourselves out there. I really, when I look at what is going on in the world, it's all about me, 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 looking good on that selfie, posting all that stuff that you're doing, making sure that you have all the rights that you can get and that you are recognized regardless of your gender and your sexuality and your race. And I'm like, that's all about me, me, me. What's really, really important is, how can I support you, okay? How can I find something in my life that's bigger than myself? If we're all we have, then it's a very small world. I look back on my own life and I think, and it's been a long time since my parents walked the face of the earth, but I think about how fortunate I was that I had parents that believed in me. They wanted me to be somebody, and they made that real clear. Okay, I often kid that I think I wasn't even out in the real world when being born, probably more than 10 seconds when the word college graduation was coming up. So my folks made it real clear that we were going to be somebody, and we were going to go to school, and we were going to not mess around and have other people care and take care of us. We need to be self-sufficient, independent, and have something bigger than ourselves to live for. And I do believe that is just really, really important in this society. So much of society is all about self. And I look at the ads that are out there on TV, and it's all about self. Do I have the right clothes? Do I have the right things? Will I have the right job? Will I make the most money? Do I have the most goodies out there? And quite frankly, you can have all of the above, but you will not have happiness. I have a brick on my kitchen window that I read almost every day. And it said, simply to be alive is a grand thing. And I think just the gift of life and the gift of love and the gift of the ability to interact with people you love is probably right up there with it, that just to be alive is a grand thing. And I'm grateful for the life that God has given me and the friends and the loved ones we have, including you, our listener. This is Hopeful. We'll be right back. We're up against that break.
Are you tired of eating at the same old restaurants? Let me tell you about a fabulous Italian restaurant we found in Riverside, Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant. Their caprese salad is exquisite with candied balsamic glaze. All of their sauces are special recipes using only the best olive oils. The salads are fresh and healthy. They offer a wonderful array of pastas, including shrimp scampi, capellini, bolognese, and lasagna. They're famous for their gourmet pizza, and you can order online for takeout or have a special date for dining in with family and friends. Mamma Mia's caters special occasions and hosts private events. You have to try it out. Mamma Mia's Italian Restaurant, located at 10971 Magnolia Avenue in Riverside, 1 block north of La Sierra on Magnolia. That's Mamma Mia's in Riverside. Be sure to tell Michael, Alex, or Joseph you heard it on AM 590 The Answer.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the 4 most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sellers and buyers recognize that these low interest rates will not last. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton, and we are talking about something bigger than self. I thought about that this week because over the last 2 weeks, I've done some traveling and speaking on behalf of combating sextortion and sex trafficking. We went up to the central part of California on a speech, and what an eye-opener we are, and how really blessed and fortunate we are to live here in Riverside and San Bernardino County. I hear these things, I train all over, and so I know a lot of people, and they try to tell you, what's going on in their area. And they are laying out these statements that I look at and I think, can it be that bad? Well, we went up to Lompoc. That's certainly not a bad area. That turned out quite nice. And also San Luis Obispo. And the folks up there are just amazing folks. I've been good friends with the district attorney up there for a long time, and they have a very strong human trafficking task force. I was fortunate to help them get off the ground way back in like 2012 or 2014, I think it was. But at the same time, I had a presentation up in Fresno. And so several people that I train, and I do trainings all over the world by Zoom, and several people had asked me if I would come up to Central California and train. Now, there's certainly no money in it for me, and I can't tell you it's the garden spot of the earth, but I am so grateful that I did. I spent an evening in Rosamond, Southern Kern County, at their school district up there. Lovely folks. And they had a whole public gathering. Now, I've had gatherings down here that are heavily advertised, and it's amazing how many parents in some schools just don't care enough to show up. But that's not true at Rosamond. They are very concerned for their young people, and a lot of people showed up. Then we went up to a town called Oildale, and I have a friend that kind of works out of there. She's in the ministry, her and her husband, and she goes to Oildale every day, but she won't take her children there, and I can see why. You see, when you get a town that doesn't have enough structure, that it doesn't have enough people in it that are really looking for something bigger than themselves, then you have law enforcement, and you actually are enforcing the laws. And I've watched this state as it has changed their attitude about basically enforcing laws. That they call it decriminalizing crime, and we've seen a lot of that kind of thing happen. We've seen where a lot of people are getting out of prison early. Well, if they've been rehabilitated and they've proven, that's one thing. But this law shows no discrimination, and a lot of people are getting out of prison without ever serving even half of their time. And it is because the ways the law is written in the state of California. I'm very, very hopeful. We've got SB 14, and we tried to get it through under SB 1024, and it failed. It didn't even make it to the Public Safety Committee. But SB 14 has now passed the Public Safety Committee, and it has also passed the Appropriations Committee, and it passed in the House, I think it is. I think it's just the Assembly left, or maybe it's vice versa. But that law, that bill, if it goes through, will actually allow sex trafficking to be considered a serious crime. And that will make it so that if you're trafficking a young person or an adult and you are charged with it, that you can actually get the 3 strikes law and some enhanced sentencing. One of the things that happens in trafficking, and so many people, I think, misunderstand it, and there's so much, hysteria around it out there, that it's people in the name of fundraising or trying to get people interested have really made it this huge kind of melodramatic crisis. Nobody has to make sex trafficking melodramatic. It is, by its very nature, abusive, exploitive, and quite violent in many cases. And it's an interesting thing. If you don't know how sex trafficking works, it doesn't have to do anything to do with voluntary prostitution. There are people who want to go out and commit commercial sex. And if you're an adult, that's one thing. But if you're a child, you don't know what you're doing yet, and you're about to enter into a world that is really, really scary. And what happens is they start out, it usually looks like a boyfriend, but gangs are putting their gang girls in schools to recruit our kids. And, even out on these dating sites, and you're into it before you know it. And, your average young person will get going on it, and the boyfriend says, hey, I need you to make some money, and, let's just try this out for a little bit, and you won't realize that you're starting down that terrible path. But if you're a foster child, you don't have much else going for you, and some guy or girl will come along and go, hey, baby, I'm going to take care of you. And the next thing you know, you are being forced into doing a lot of things you don't want to do. Now, if you have a family and you can get to a phone, maybe somebody can find you and rescue you. But if you're a foster child, it's very hard to get back out, because these people keep telling you how much they care about you when, of course, they are just using you. And that is why 60% of kids that are engaged in commercial sex come from foster care. And that is why it's so important for all of us to support these young people and let them know they don't have to do that, and don't fall for it. There are people out there that will care about you that don't want anything back, that don't want to give you a quota, and they don't want to take part of your money. So it's a fascinating thing that's going on, because I go to these towns where they literally have no structure. The gangs have just taken over. There are graffiti everywhere. I went up to, I learned this week about a town called Mendota, Mendota. And I'm not going to go into detail about Mendota. You can Google it if you want and put in the word gang, but it is pretty much controlled by gangs. But it was really heart-lifting today to hear that they are going out. Law enforcement is going out. It was announced today, and they've taken down 30 of the real bad guys. So one of the things that I think about when I hear that, I think those law enforcement people that are willing to go into a town like Mendota or Oildale and literally put their lives on the line, they are people who are bigger than themselves, because that's dangerous. I work in this business, but I can tell you I wasn't crazy about being in either of those two towns. And then at the same time, I saw an announcement today out of Hesperia, Victorville, San Bernardino, Riverside, and Cherry Valley with the San Bernardino County Sheriff Department. Congratulations to you folks over there. I know many of you. During the service of search warrants and additional contacts, investigators seized 26 firearms, 3 of which were ghost guns. Investigators made 13 felony arrests. The San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors authorized those funds to assist with that suppression. The intent to provide additional funding to the Sheriff's Department for increased law enforcement services related to the quality of life issues affecting the community. And it goes on to say Operation Consequences will focus on conducting target crime suppression operations in the high desert and around the city of San Bernardino. There are currently 6,700 parolees at large in California and 564 parolees at large in San Bernardino. The operation will include from the Sheriff's Gangs and Narcotics Department, Special Enforcement Division, patrol stations, including the CHB and the San Bernardino Probation, as well as Homeland Security. Now, I'm from Riverside, and I always love our sheriff and our DA and all the people that are working over here. But I want to give a big shout out to the Sheriff Department over in San Bernardino for being willing to do that. It's very similar to what I saw in Central California. If you don't have officers willing and trained to be willing to put their lives on the line and do something bigger than self, such as going out and pulling those people back in that are committing those crimes, then our entire society is going to pay a price. And I've gone through a couple of towns in the last couple of weeks that shows you what happens when the bad guy wins. It's that simple. I am very, very grateful that our community has many leaders that are bigger than self, that are willing to take those chances and go out and do what they need to do to help the kids that are the most challenged, and at the same time take down those bad guys that are looking to harm our children. My name is Opal Singleton. We are starting to come up against that break, so stay with us. We're going to be right back to you.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic. Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift, Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton. I thank each and every one of you that support this show, whether it's with your prayers or with your finances, or just get involved in your community. You know, I'm only one person, and I can train. I love to train the trainer because we need a lot more of you that understand what to do. You don't have to be a public speaker to make a difference in this kind of business. It's as simple as taking care of those around you that are really, really vulnerable. People like foster kids or kids in a broken family that maybe have time on their hands. Support your local teachers and educators. You know, I hear so much about what is going on in the schools, and it's really disheartening. But at the same time, I train all across the state of California, your school resource officers, your child welfare attendance officers, those are truancy officers, your counselors, your teachers. And I want you to know that most of them that I have met are God's children. They care and they want to do right. And they want to teach what's right to our children. And they don't want to be all caught up in this woke business that is going on out there. And they will say, you know, I see a child and I know they're at risk and I don't know quite what to do there. And I'm like, it's very simple. Let them know you believe in them, that they have potential, that you see the good in them, and that there are many things they can do, including taking control of their lives. It is when a child decides that they're going to turn their life over to somebody else, whether they've realized it or not. So many kids out there are looking for someone to take care of them, someone to be responsible for them, someone that literally will find them cute and wonderful, and they're willing to take chances. I am always amazed at the number of young people online that will send a nude photo within an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of talking to someone they've never met. And I say to myself, what on earth is that all about? And it is because in their soul, they are looking around for someone who wants to take care of them, who wants to be responsible for them. And you go in there with that kind of attitude, you're going to get burned, because people that ask for your naked photo within an hour or 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 days of being online are not people who care about you. And somehow we need to get over all this woke messaging and start to get the truth out there is you are good and valuable and enough for today. And you don't need someone to take care of you. And if somebody is asking for your naked photo and you haven't met them, what kind of person are they? And what are they going to do to you? What kind of person is going to ask for your naked photo if it's going to cause you harm? It isn't somebody you want to be involved with. And yet our kids go online and they don't think about that. I think that is important that we have that dialogue with kids to let them know their value. This isn't about whether or not you win first or second place in some soccer match. It isn't about that. It is about being a person that wants to do what's right, and also a person that cares about other people. But number one priority is that you're responsible for self, that you're not going to take shortcuts, that shortcuts will cost you. And taking chances online will cost you for the rest of your life. I think that that is a very important message. You know, we have all of these protests that go on out there. We have groupthink that just takes on some life of its own. I thought about that with all the kids over in LA that went into that 7-Eleven. Now, there was a young man working there that was about their age. He had to hide in the bathroom. And there was like 60 or 80 kids that swarmed into a 7-Eleven and took everything they wanted. And you say to yourself, where is this coming from? What justifies that behavior? And who are these people? Some of them look like gang members, but most of them look like average kids. So at some point in time, it's going to require a conversation. I really believe that one of the most important gifts that you can give in life is to be a strong, committed, caring, and disciplined parent. That doesn't mean you beat your child. No, I'm not suggesting that. What I am suggesting is that you have those kind of core conversations. Don't overlook them. Don't get jellyfish inside. You start to, that child needs you to be a parent. That child needs you to lead. And so go on and talk about it. You know, look at the things that are reported in the news and have that conversation with the kids. Follow Me and Kids. You'll see a lot of these cases where a kid sent a naked photo or they got caught up in something and they ended up being abused. And we talk with your kid. How does that happen? I bet you that young lady who fell in love with that boy online never had a clue he was a gang member. So how do you make sure that you don't hook up with a gang member online? And begin to have those honest conversations. I think that that's really, really important. When you see that kind of thing where kids go into a grocery store or like that, talk about not just right and wrong, but what it does to the soul. Because think about that. Every time you do what's right instead of what's easy, you get character. But every time you do what's wrong and easy, it eats away at your character. And pretty soon, one day you wake up and you don't have any sense of parameters, any rights and wrongs. You start to justify everything. And that's exactly how they think when people end up in prison, is that I had a right, it was mine. I don't believe that we can count on schools to do that for us anymore. As good as all those teachers are, there's plenty of people out there. I certainly can tell you that we cannot count on our government because I see them, and that is not something that I would want to raise a child to look after. One of the things I wanted to share with you is this past weekend, was Memorial Day weekend, and they had rolling thunder out here, not too far from where I live. I don't know how many were out there. They said somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000. My arm, as much as it waved, I believe we were on the high side of that because I got really tired of waving. But what a beautiful thing to have thousands of people come out to greet thousands of people on motorcycles, waving the American flag and standing for what is right, standing for what's honorable, standing for what is good, and standing for leadership that is bigger than self. This nation was born and raised on leaders that were bigger than self. And when you get leaders that are not bigger than self, your nation is going to pay a price. And I think we're somewhat there today. And it saddens me when I see all of these injustices where they're going in and taking over targets and putting values on us that are not consistent with us. That's a store, okay? That isn't a moral statement. That's a store. And we need to be allowed to have our own moral statements. So I'm kind of wandering around here, but where I want to share with you is there is nothing more healthy for a young person, with or without parents, foster kids or people born into the finest of families. If you have structure, if you have parents who care, if you have parents who are involved, if you have parents who will sit down with their children and say, I don't really care what the rest of the world is doing. We do what's right. We do what's honest. and we do things that are bigger than ourselves. I am so grateful for the law enforcement, this group up here in San Bernardino, the group up in Mendota, the group up in Oildale, how those people put their lives on the line. I mean, these are men and women who have families and children, and they go out into some of the areas where we no longer enforce the law up until now, which is how it got to the point it is. You know, if you don't have laws, if you don't have structure, you're going to have crime. And it's that simple. At the same token, we need law enforcement to know that we're proud of them and that we support them and that we understand they are real heroes that are bigger than their own lives, that are willing to go out there and do the things that so that I can be safe. It really makes a difference. When you visit a town like we visited, I say to myself, if you could just stop and take a look, this is where we're going to end if we keep decriminalizing crime. And it's not a pretty picture. I looked at those towns and I think, what a waste of mankind. This is Opal Singleton. We're up against that break. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590. The Answer.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. If you want to get involved with the child foster program, the bedding program, whether it's a youth or a young child or someone who's transitioning, you can donate to Million Kids at $50 per child. And we will do all the buying and packaging and including a I Believe in You challenge coin, and we will get it to that foster kid. You know, I think that's so important for a kid that is transitioning. I remember I've done a lot of speaking in these group homes. I remember a kid from Orange County, won't give his name, much about him, it's confidential, but what a great kid he was. And he was in a group home where there were a lot of gang members. And I was talking, and we were talking about some concept. We were talking about video game addiction. A lot of young people that I talk to get addicted to video games. And he's kind of hiding over in the corner. He didn't fit in. He was almost 18. And I went over and talked to him, and I said, he said, I was addicted to video games back when I had them. And I said, where were you? And he's from Orange County. And I said, well, what happened here? And he said, well, they don't have any place for me in Orange County. So they shipped me out to this town. I won't tell you which town it was. And I said, well, that's really a tough thing. I mean, he was the only blonde in the whole place. And I said, what do you want to be? And he goes, oh, I know. I want to be a meteorologist, he said. Meteorologist, really? Now, here he is, 18, and he knows exactly what he wants. Now, I looked around and I think, this poor child, he's smart, he's got good grades, and yet he didn't win the lottery when it came to families. And yet he's strong and he's tough and he's going to make it. I went out and bought him a book on hurricanes. I've lost track of him. I don't know where he ended up or if I'm going to see him on TV one day. I hope so. But I thought to myself, here is a kid that just needs a boost. And it's a kid that just needs to know somebody cares about him. And that is so true all the way that we have our lives. We get choices in life, and those choices have consequences. I wanted to make one more point here before we go, and that is I saw a headline, Catholic Vote launches $1 million campaign to boycott the Dodgers event honoring anti-Catholic drag queens. Now, we've been hearing all about the Bud Light thing. We've been hearing all about the Target thing. And, quite frankly, that is somebody that's standing up to big corporations. And it's a lot of little people, if there is such a thing as little people. My point is, that isn't organized. There is nobody paying them to do it. It is just simply, I find your activity offensive, and you are not going to define me and who I am, or define my family and who we are. Well, the same thing took place at Dodger Stadium. And what happened here, there's a letter I'm reading here. This is, I think, from the Christian Post. It said a Catholic advocacy organization has launched $1 million ad campaign in response to Los Angeles Dodgers partnership with a group of drag queens and trans-identified performers that organization considers anti-Catholic. Now, this wasn't just about whether you are, a transvestite or if you're anti-Catholic. What was happening is they were dressing these people up as nuns and making them into satanic individuals. And this Catholic organization has put their money where their mouth was, and they created $1 million ad for the Dodger Stadium. The FDA approving Neuralink for human trials and requirement addressing the role of women. And today's headline includes Catholics Vote $1 million ad campaign. It says on here that in response to the LA Dodgers with a group of drag queens, the campaign urges all people of goodwill to express their opposition to celebrate anti-Catholic bigotry and mockery. This is against the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. While the Dodgers walked back the plans to honor the group during an upcoming Pride Night, they reinstated their plans after meeting with representatives of the organization. I think that's a good thing. Here is somebody that is putting their money out there to say, you're not doing this to my community, you're not doing this to my religion, and you're not doing this to me or my family. We do not need to let others put their values on us, and we need to raise our kids to know what they stand for, and that there is a world out there bigger than themselves, that they want to do what's right, they want to help others, and they want to support others that are in need. but equally important that they are willing to take a stand in a private and appropriate way against all this crazy woke activity. To be able to put nuns into those satanic outfits and for the LA Dodgers to think that's right is just sad. And I'm very proud of the people that stood against that. That is true of all the other stuff that is going on out there. When I went to those towns this last week, and I look around, and when I see the headlines of how these corporations think that they can just put their trash on us and call it right, I say to myself, it is time to stand up. And it is time to have that hard conversation with our children about doing what's right instead of what's easy. We don't have to protest up and down the street. We don't have to get in there and do outrageous things. What we need is to be healthy parents and grandparents, to sit down with our kids and let them know we're proud of them, but that we also expect them to do what's right, not what's easy, to look after each other and to look at the world and wanting to make a contribution for something bigger than ourselves. It is not all about each and every one of us. It is important that each and every one of us know who we are and what we stand for, and that we stand together for what is right. But it's also important that we support people like law enforcement and district attorneys and prosecutors and people and even legislators like Shannon Grove. I so much admire her for being able to go against this legislation that wants to literally decriminalize crime, to make it so we don't enforce the laws on the books and that we make new laws that let people out without paying a price. This just doesn't make any sense. And so our world seems upside down, but we're not. Because I think that what I know in listening to this audience, when you contact me, is there is a world of people out there that remember old-fashioned values, remember what's good, that have morals and standards, and more important, they have generous hearts. They want to help foster kids. They want to help kids at risk. They want to help pregnant kids and kids that are really having a hard time. But they also want to bring up their own children in a way that they will know that they don't get caught up in all of this stuff. We don't have to flaunt sexuality. We don't have to flaunt gender. We have to love each other as we are, and then get outside of ourselves and start to make a difference in the world. I think that is the most important thing in the world. I can tell you that if you want to help a foster child, with a bedding or maybe a gift or maybe a transition gift that they can move into an apartment, just let us know at opal, O-P-A-L, at millionkids.org, or go onto our donation site. It's millionkids.org/donate, and help someone bigger and better than yourself. It will help you be bigger and better than you were today. It makes all the difference. I want to just take a few minutes to say thank you to my family. They're all gone now, but maybe they can hear it up in heaven. But I'm so grateful that they took the time to instill in us the values that make the world go round. And it's the values that I want in leadership. I think when we vote again, we need to take a look at moral values. What do people stand for? What is their background? What can we know about them? And we need to vote leaders that are humble, that are honest, and leaders that are bigger than themselves, that do what they need to do, that it isn't always about them on that bottom line. So my name is Opal Singleton. The organization is millionkids.org. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Those of you, we are going to be doing some speeches here locally. One of them is at Stand Up Riverside, I think on the 26th of June. If you want to know more about where we're speaking, go to millionkids.org and get involved. Sign up, take those newsletters, let us educate you. Folks, put your arms around your family this week and let them know how proud you are of them and that you're there and that you believe in them. See you next Saturday at 3 o'clock.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.